Hey everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of the Scratch Track podcast presented by the Dude and Grim Show. I am the Dude.
And I am Grim. And today we're going to do something a little different. We each went through our vinyl collection and we picked out 3 of the most unique albums for us that we had to talk about, and for different reasons. But either way,
Absolutely.
like 3 of them that are either the most unique or the most special that we have. So yeah. I got these 3 right here. We'll get to them. And Dude, what do you got for us? Do you want to start out with the first one?
I can start off with the first one, and it is one that we actually have talked about on this channel before because we have scratched this this album.
Oh, and boy.
My first one that is I am very proud and happy to have in my collection. I love it because it's one of my favorite albums of all time, and that is 9 Inch Nails' The Fragile. There's just like so much to love about this because one, I mean, it's a fucking great album. I mean, so there's that. But the packaging of it is called the Definitive Edition. And I got this not off 9 Inch Nails' website, but I got it off Twist and Shout here in Denver.
Oh, sweet.
And now if you go to 9 Inch Nails' website, it's sold out. You can't get it. And they haven't, repressed or re-released it yet. So I imagine they will, just because it's in high demand. I mean, that would make sense.
Yeah.
But dude, it's 3 records. I love the packaging. I mean,
and the track order is consistent with the album as we know it on the 3.
It's not. So they add in a song on what would be considered disc right. They add in a song or 2 actually.
Oh wow.
And of course, if I done
and we may have talked about this on the episode, but dude, I mean, pardon us, it's tough to remember everything.
Yeah. So if you didn't check out that episode, because we should probably check it out again. But as we love in albums, man, I mean, the inside booklet is just full of cool artwork. It's got all the song titles, all the lyrics on the inside, everything you'd want from like a great, packaging and album and everything, right?
Yeah, sure. And, if you're going to check out that episode, which we would highly encourage, if you would, maybe please go ahead and
like, subscribe, and comment below.
Because that would really help us out.
It really would. And then it's also got this cool booklet, sort of an article written by Bob Ezrin on the inside, who helped Trent Reznor and them kind of pick out what tracks to include on the album and also the track order. It
has a little history working on the wall. I mean, just...
Yeah, a little bit. But it's got like photos of his Pro Tools and computer setup.
That's really sweet.
A picture on the inside of him and Dr. Dre in the studio. Like it's pretty cool. So... highly, if you're able to find this, I highly recommend picking it up. It's definitely one of the ones where I'm just like, oh, dude, yeah, I got that one. And it just feels good just to know, like, hey, I got it, and it's not easy to get now. So it has a little, it's a little special there.
Well, my first one is one that I think falls under the same category because if I'm not mistaken, we talked about this record because I was telling you about the packaging offline, and you looked it up and said that it is currently not available, and that is Seeds by TV on the Radio. And it's a double LP, a great album. The artwork inside is beautiful. But one thing that is particularly special is it has some interesting liner notes, and in here somewhere, and we will show this
momentarily
in a different way. Yeah, but there's this plastic screen, and it allows you to see things like in 3D. And so the cover kind of moves. Here it is. Yeah.
There. That's better.
So it comes with this little plastic sheet, and it's just a bunch of it's like clear, but there's a bunch of black lines, right? And so like you go up to the cover and you put this, now I'll show it because you can't see it here, but you put it on the cover and it just burns like a fire. And it just like everything has these little animations, like the letters move around, and it is probably the most unique vinyl packaging I've ever seen in my life. I mean, it is like, and this was one where we went to the record store. My wife, Lisa, bought this one. And I hadn't really listened to the album, and then you put it on, and you're like, God, I haven't, because I hadn't listened to TV on the radio probably for real since like Dear Science. And so, you know, we put this one on and it's a great record. And then you're just, you know, you're sitting there looking at the packaging and really cool.
I think that might be one of their favorite album of mine. I really like that one a lot. And
such a good album. And I think we're going to be scratching it in the near future, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, yes,
dude.
we are.
Yeah.
No, we are.
So
we don't have an exact date
that
at the moment, but I love it when bands do awesome packaging though. Like it's just a fun, creative way. I mean, that's something that's definitely lost in the digital era now is, you know, you just kind of click and play and whatnot. But dude,
you don't get the artifact.
It's the smaller version. Like I just love the big picture disc.
But even with cool CDs, stuff. there was something. There was an artifact, and that's kind of lost. I mean, you know, regardless.
Yeah.
So what's your second one?
So my second one, we've also scratched this one. However, I don't think I had the vinyl at the time. And that would be Mr. Bungle's California.
Oh.
Which is, I know both.
I have that too. And I'm so glad I finally, when I saw it at the record store, I was like, yep. And there was 3 copies of it, I think. And so I looked at each one to make sure that I had like the very best one.
The best one. Yeah. So this is the one that I think this is not an original pressing. I think Forrest might have the original pressing. He has the one, because I remember when we were doing research for it, you kind of noticed, or you had heard that the way it was done on vinyl and mastered, there's some things that are lost and it maybe doesn't sound, the way we're used to hearing it.
And
right?
Dude, when I listened to mine, I mean, it was perfect.
Yeah,
it was everything it's supposed to be. And I know I have the same one as you.
It's the company Music on Vinyl.
Yes, that is correct.
They repress them. This is, the 180 gram audio file. I will say this is pretty much just like
there's nothing special about it.
There's nothing special about the packaging, but it's just kind of badass to have it. Like that's what's awesome about it. So,
and that is one I do have.
Yeah.
And
so what do you got next there, Rintin Tim?
Well, as much as I would have wanted to pull out Mr. Bungle, I had to do something.
I know.
So this is a copy of the record Hey Jude by the Beatles. Now, I had thought that this record was completely lost once everything hit like the non-vinyl stages like cassettes and CDs. But apparently they did do this on cassette and it was available throughout the 90s. And then it was issued on CD in 2014 as an individual release and in a box set titled The US Albums. So I guess, but for most people, unless you're like a total nerd about collecting all the CDs and everything the Beatles ever did, this is pretty much just on vinyl. And all the songs on here, so it's Hey Jude, Revolution, Paperback Writer, I Should Have Known Better, Lady Madonna, Can't Buy Me Love, Don't Let Me Down, Ballad of John and Yoko, Rain, and Old Brown Shoe.
Old Brown Shoe, I figured would be on there too.
But all these songs can be found on Past Masters Volume 2. Now, Past Masters, not to be confused with Moore's album, Past Masters Volume 420. So,
yes.
So I always just thought that was cool because my dad had this record, and it's just one of those things where apparently it was available elsewhere, but pretty much for like the longest time it only existed on vinyl.
Well, and I'm curious, and maybe you know this, or maybe some people out there know this who are huge Beatles fans. When Hey Jude came out and was released, it was released as a single. Like that's not on a Beatles album.
Correct.
So I imagine it was released as a single, and then all those other songs are kind of, I don't even know what to say. Are those all singles as well?
Yeah, I think they're considered like B-sides.
Yeah.
Which is crazy because some of them, Paperback, I like all of them are an awesome song. Dude, Forrest can get down with Paperback Writer. I know that. Mm-hmm. But it's all like really good stuff. And I think like Old Brown Shoe, for instance, like
Oh,
And
dude, I
that
love
was the
song.
shitty thing about like Harrison's quota, so to speak, is that he could only contribute
These
like
leftovers.
X amount of material to an album because he
Yeah.
had, and he did a song that kind of touched on that, which is called "Only a Northern Song."
Right. Yeah.
And that's
Isn't that on
also a
Isn't that on Yellow
B-side.
Submarine? Isn't it on Yellow Submarine?
Yeah, I think it might be on Yellow Submarine,
Okay.
but I mean,
Hey
more or
Bulldog
less.
was one of my favorite
Yeah.
songs, and that's on Yellow Submarine.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, definitely.
So, what's next?
So my third and final unique album, and I'm going to tell a little story behind this because I went to I'm sure people who are into vinyl and collect vinyl, and you go to the store, you have like a list. At least I have a list
mentally,
on my phone.
I don't.
Like,
yeah. Mentally,
dude,
I got.
I have
list.
it in my notes, and so I went there, and literally they had nothing on my list, and I was like, I came all the way here. I mean, really, it's only like a 10-minute drive, but I was like, since I'm here, I was like, I need to pick up something. So I was messaging, and I messaged Forrest, and this was kind of, I think, right after you and I had done Songs for the Deaf, Queens of the Stone Age album. We had done that scratch on our show here.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started listening to them more. I was like, I should pick up some more Queens of the Stone Age. And first off, and Forrest made this great recommendation. He was like, you should never go to the record store and buy something that you've never heard or listened before. I totally went against that. And I went and I bought Queens of the Stone Age, Like Clockwork. And I was like, I'm going to check it out. It'll be cool. We'll just see. I mean, I like the band. I like their stuff. It's probably going to be good. Listened to it the first few times, and I was like, yeah, it's good. It's going to be good, right?
It's going to be good.
And then it's going to be good. And then I one night I came home. I was hanging out with some friends. Just put this on. It was a little later, and that's when it clicked.
Yeah,
and
it's a good one. It's a good one.
Yeah. And here's the thing: you and I were talking about this, and you said you may have played this for me, like when you
around
first
my wedding.
started getting, when you started getting into them. But I don't remember that. And
fair.
Essentially, I have only listened to this album on vinyl. I have not listened to it and so there's times where I've been tempted, like, oh man, I'm going to put this on. I'm like, nope, maybe I'll just keep it, and it'll just be like that sort of special record that I've only listened to on vinyl and not at least consciously.
Yeah. No, and that's
digitally.
really cool. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah. So that's it. It's my story.
Now, one thing I will say, and I do have to make a comment to what you said about going to the record store and never buying something, or don't buy something that you've never listened to or whatever.
Uh-huh.
Dude, when I shop for records, I totally follow this policy. But to Forrest, who may or may not be listening, one thing I will say is I've gone there, and maybe not so much me, but when I'll go with my wife and the two of us are going to buy something, there's a lot of times she'll pick up something, and dude, I've never heard a single thing off it. But the thing is, it's her choice. What are you going to say? Everyone has a choice of what they're going to get at the record store, right?
Absolutely.
But dude, some of these albums have been like that. Like, dude, I had never heard anything off of St. Vincent, and she picked that up one night, and I was like, oh my God, this is phenomenal. So I do think with that story as like kind of the crux of it, I do think that like there is something to, if you have an inkling or an inclination about an artist and you think that their stuff may be good.
Risk.
Yeah, there is a risk, but dude, sometimes
$30 and it can suck. And
I know it could, but dude, most of the time you'll pick something up, and if you go into it with an open mind, unless it's total trash, which I guess is possible, but you'll be like, damn, this was a really cool record. I would have never picked this thing out in a million years.
Right. Totally.
And I like that. I do like that. I'm with you.
All right. What's yours? Your last one, bro?
Dude, my last one does not have an amazing package. Okay. It's just this clear thing. And you can see it, dude. That's the record. That's on the vinyl.
Disc. Yeah. That's picture disc. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
And this album is called Dopesmoker by a band called Sleep. And shout out to my old buddy Steve, when I used to work at Pip. He kind of got me into some of this stoner metal, some of these bands. And one of the albums he recommended to me was the Sleep album. And there's a weird and interesting story behind it where apparently the band signed with London Records and got like a big advance to make this record because they were just like coming up in this scene that, they thought would be good and profitable, whatever.
Right.
So apparently the band spent like some of the advance on like these orange amps and this like subgenre of orange called green amps, like these fucking just badass amps. I mean, they like unbelievable tone, especially for what they're doing, and some other equipment, and then the rest they just spent on weed. And
that's a good idea.
And they went into the studio and they recorded this album. Now, dude, the way this album is released correctly, it is one song and it is like 70 minutes long. Now, apparently they played this.
They have to,
So that's why I haven't put it on Scratch a Track, because it's kind of hard to scratch it. So it's interesting. It's interesting how the vinyl, the vinyl kind of fades out and fades in and stuff. Yeah. But anyways, they put this thing out and the record company fucking hated it, thought it was garbage.
Of course.
And so they made a version of it called Jerusalem. And I think this was like 1999-ish. Mm-hmm. And in Jerusalem, they cut the tracks up, but it flowed together to listen to it, but they cut the tracks up into like some sections. So there was at least on Jerusalem, I think there was 6 or 7 songs, 6 songs.
All right. Okay.
But, and apparently they did all this stuff with compression and shit, like when they mastered it, that the band didn't like. And for a while, all you could ever hear was this Jerusalem version. But then after a while, I don't know how they did it, but the band like got the rights or something. And somebody, I guess prior to the band getting the rights, they got a hold of the tapes or something. And they did an album called Dopesmoker, like the band intended for it. And they kind of released it unofficially and you could get it on the internet, which was cool. Because it was all one track then. It was like an hour, 70 minutes or whatever it was, 73 minutes. But then somehow Sleep, again, got a hold of the rights to their own music, which is awesome.
That's great.
And they released like the real version. And, it was one of those albums I was like, I know that it'll be a double vinyl and the fade outs and the fade ins will be kind of maybe a little weird. Yeah. But it is unlike any album I've ever heard. And it's like, dude, it's like a fucking trance. If like stoner metal was trance music, you just like, it like really, dude, the tractor beams sucked me right in. You know what I mean?
Dude, nice. I do.
Yeah.
I do.
Sorry, a bit of a tangent.
Your landing gear is down.
Dude, come in. Yeah. But I will say, an amazing album in its own right. And I've given it to several friends, and some of them are like, "What the fuck did you get me into?" And others are like, "This is kind of amazing."
Well, that is cool, and I think you and I, we have decent collections. Some people out there have insane collections. So if any of you out there listening have a good collection, a big collection, small collection, whatever it is, if there's an album that you have in your collection that you just kind of hold near and dear to your heart, or it means something to you, whether it's the packaging
and why,
when you got it, how you got it. Yeah. Let us know. Because it's just cool to hear those kinds of stories. It's because when you buy something on vinyl, unless you do go to this
or inherit it in some cases,
or inherit it.
Yeah.
Typically it's, you don't recreate your collection because that would just cost way too much money. You usually make it's
an amalgamation
conscious decision of, I want that one on vinyl. All right. That's, or when you hear it, you're like, oh, that'll sound really good on vinyl. I feel like that's how it's almost meant
or
to
when
be
you
played.
get someone's collection, you're like, I will save this one on vinyl. And then there's a pile where you're
Exactly.
like, I don't really want that one. So
No, and I'm good. So
with that
so
said,
let us know. Let us know.
hold up your
Down below.
vinyls, dude. Yeah, like, yeah. That's what it is.
heavy.
What are the ones in your collection?
I'm gonna like drop them, and that would be
Yeah.
a really bad way to end the episode. Don't want to do that. So, all right, everyone, we're gonna have some more vinyl episodes coming up. I think. So stay tuned for that. Let us know if you like it, and let's talk some vinyl on here because it's just kind of fun. All right, time to go.
Scratch a Track is produced by the Dude and Grim. Additional music provided by Moore and the Tims. Copyright 2021. The Dude and Grim Show.